Hey, welcome into another edition of Dolphins Today. What a busy week we've had. The Devon Achane injury news, roster updates, and you know how you make sure you don't miss a single moment? You subscribe. So smash that sub button. Want to continue bringing you the best Dolphins news, updates, rumors, and everything under the sun. That's why you subscribe. We've got a great show coming up for you. So let's not waste any more time. Dolphins Today starts right now. Jam-packed show for you. So glad to have you in for Dolphins Today. My name is Jake Riepma. I am your host. What do we got rolling today? Well, good news starting with a Jalen Ramsey update. He's progressing a little bit faster than maybe originally expected, so we'll dive into that and exactly what it means. And, of course, the latest injury update as the Dolphins get ready to take on the Carolina Panthers. Find out who practiced, who was limited, and so on and so forth. And look, the Chase Claypool trade went final last week, but we might even see him in uniform on Sunday. So we'll talk about how he could potentially make an impact on that high-flying Dolphins offense. But first, we get into, like I said, the good news. How about this from Dolphins beat reporter Joe Schad, talking about Jalen Ramsey, and had a chance to talk to the defensive backs coach, Sam Madison, who said he looks really good and is very hopeful about his progress. And Sam Madison went on to kind of expand upon that, saying, I've been speaking with the trainers a lot in the weight room, guys, and he looks really good. And he's been really good for the young guys, coming out and encouraging them and telling them what he sees on film. So that's very, very encouraging, having a veteran of that stature and having him still being into it. That's Dolphins defensive back coach Sam Madison. And look, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but this is tremendous news. I love what he said about having a veteran presence that's still into it, that's still invested despite being sidelined with the injury. And it feels like Jalen Ramsey is doing everything right that he can despite not being on the field for the Dolphins. So obviously the Dolphins made a big investment in making that offseason blockbuster trade to bring him in. And although he hasn't played yet, he's still making an impact and he's progressing ahead of schedule, which is all good news. And even better news is when Jalen Ramsey steps onto the field, we know he's going to make an immediate impact, but how big? Let me know in the comments when Jalen Ramsey returns, how big of an impact will he make on the field? Scale it for me, 1 through 10. This is the Dolphins cornerback position group that could use a boost. It hasn't been an Achilles heel per se, but there has been some play that's left some things to be desired. Xavier Howard's been solid for the most part. Kader Kohou's had a couple of really, really good games, and in fairness to him, unfortunately, the one bad game against the Bills is kind of implanted in everyone's mind. Eli Apple, you know he's a veteran in this league, but we still haven't seen Cam Smith, the second-round pick out of South Carolina. So that's interesting how we haven't seen Cam Smith. We've seen a little bit of Justin Bethel, and Kelvin Joseph has played on special teams. But Cam Smith not getting an opportunity to play, or not earning an opportunity to play, I should say, is a little bit puzzling. But we know when Jalen Ramsey returns, it's certainly going to help that Dolphins secondary. More from Joe Schad on Jalen Ramsey. Dolphins quarterback Sam Madison says he looked really good and is very hopeful about his progress. So again, Ramsey progressing ahead of schedule and having that impact on the Dolphins, and despite not actually being in the lineup, doing everything right. Up next, we'll talk a little bit about the newest member of the Miami Dolphins, Chase Claypool, and if we'll see his Dolphins debut on Sunday or not. But first, I want to tell you about PrizePicks, proud presenting sponsor of today's episode. Look, PrizePicks is awesome, and I know I've told you about them before, but I want to make sure I convey how awesome PrizePicks are, because it is far and away the most exciting way to play daily fantasy. And I use it all the time for the Dolphins, but you can use it with all kinds of stuff. When Monday Night Football, I use some PrizePicks, all kinds of stuff, PrizePicks available to you. And you know I've got my picks ready for Sunday. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less against a player's projected stats. So it's just you versus the projections. You're not in any kind of big pool with experts and sharks. You don't have to make any Excel spreadsheets, anything crazy like that. No, it's just you versus the projections. And here's what I've got cooking for this weekend. I'm picking more for Tua Tagovailoa's projected passing yardage number at 294.5. I'm also picking more for Tyreek Hill's projected receiving stat line of 91.5. You know, that's a tall ask from the Cheetah, but I think he's got it in him. And for the opposition, Adam, I've got a feeling, you know I'm going with less on his projected stat total of 68.5 receiving yards. So that's how it works. More or less. It's a lot of fun. The most exciting way to play daily fantasy. And for being a Dolphins fan, you know we've got a special deal for you. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Don't waste any more time. Do it now. Go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS and use that code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. And, you know, we always make it easy for you. That link is going to be in the comments, so you can just click right on it and set up your account. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Want to get into the Dolphins' latest injury report because as we've experienced this week, those injury reports can be a roller coaster. We got the unfortunate news with Devon Achane earlier this week, then the good news with Isaiah Wynn. He's cleared and ready to go. But this from Travis Wingfield, a couple of late additions to the Dolphins injury report and some updates. So this is from Thursday's injury report. Wingfield saying Connor Williams hasn't practiced and Robert Hunt was added to the Thursday injury report. He was limited in practice. Braxton Berrios and Alec Ingle upgraded to full participants. And then for Carolina, some movements in the wrong direction for a pair of their star defenders, Brian Burns and Derek Brown, did not practice on Thursday. And then two of their leading tacklers, Von Bell and Grugier Hill, were added to Thursday's injury report as well. So let's talk a little bit about Connor Williams because he didn't practice last week leading up to the game against the Giants. And then he was, obviously he played really well in that game. So I don't want to, on one hand, sound the alarms. Hey, Connor Williams isn't practicing, but then he shows up and plays on Sunday. But on the other token, you don't want to get comfortable with, oh, he never practices, he'll be fine on Sunday. It's kind of that fine balance somewhere in between. But we know how crucial Connor Williams is to the success of the Dolphins offense. He left that Week 4 game against Buffalo, but played in the Week 5 game against the Giants because he is so crucial to have at that center position because his backup is Liam Eichenberg. And we all know how that has gone. Buffalo was an example. Eichenberg just hasn't been able to cut it as a backup center. So he's been one of Miami's best offensive linemen all season. And although he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, it's not exactly decided of whether or not he'll be able to play on Sunday against the Carolina Panthers, which, you know, we've got a live watch party for. It's going to be a blast. You do not want to miss it. The Dolphins are heavily favored at 13.5-point favorites. That total for the over-under at 48.5. But what have we been saying all week? This is still a game. You got to go out. You got to execute. You got to do what you're capable of doing. And if the Dolphins take care of their business and execute, I see no problem in earning their 5th win of the season. So join us for that live watch party. It's always a blast. You know we have a good time on Dolphins Today. We'll get a little wild and crazy because it's a game day. It's a home game at Hard Rock Stadium. You don't want to miss it. Also, we've got live shows every Wednesday. We were live again last week and live again yesterday for our Wednesday live shows. Tune into those as well. 5 p.m. on the East Coast. Now, Chase Claypool was dealt last week. We told you all about the details, there's not a ton to even really get into here. It's kind of a flyer move. That's what we've been saying all week long about this deal. Very little risk. And if you think back to what Chase Claypool did as a rookie and even his sophomore season, potential for high reward, because all the Dolphins gave up was that sixth-round pick in 2025. And in exchange, they still got the Bears 2025 seventh-round pick. So they really just moved back one round and still were able to obtain Chase Claypool, who's on an expiring contract. So if I'm Chase Claypool, I'm looking at this as a way to resurrect my career. And yes, the word resurrect is kind of dramatic, but I would say his career's on life support and needs to be resurrected. So perhaps Sunday is when he makes his debut. All week long, the coaching staff for the Dolphins have been being asked about Chase Claypool and the excitement and potential of what he can bring to that offense at 6'4" and the speedster that he is. Here's the latest on it with Mike McDaniel opening up about the situation from Joe Shad, one of the Dolphins beat writers. Mike McDaniel said he was open-minded about Chase Claypool being ready as soon as Sunday. But, of course, all players have to earn the right to play. And so it's hard for McDaniel to say how much time Chase will need because he's been in a similar offense for 17 years. And Mike McDaniel also said, hey, Chase is an attentive player, and he is a wide receiver with size and speed. Tongue twister. How about that? Wide receiver with size and speed. There we go. Let me do it one more time. Wide receiver with size and speed. There, won't happen again. How about for what Chase Claypool had to say? He said, quote, I was excited for the new opportunity and excited to work with Coach McDaniel and Tua and play alongside Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and a bunch of good receivers. He also went on to add that he knew Durham Smythe and Liam Eichenberg from their time together at Notre Dame. So, again, I see this as a career resurrection opportunity for Chase Claypool, and what a system to do it in. Mike McDaniel and Frank Smith, both of them offensive geniuses. If anyone can figure out a way to get a 6'4" speed demon involved in the offense, it's those two. So, once again, I got to ask you, do you believe that Chase Claypool can resurrect his career in Miami? It's real simple. Type Y for yes or N for no, because I'm feeling optimistic. I think it's a yes all the way. Dolphins Today is the best community on YouTube, the best Dolphins community on YouTube. I say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times until I'm aqua in the face. How about that? And we, as always, love to salute our Aqua Club members, Chad Jones, Lord Buddy Bear, and David Breakout. And we'd love to add more names to our Aqua Club. So join us for our live watch party. That's when you can join the Aqua Club with a $100 super chat. We'll be live on Sunday for the Dolphins versus Panthers. Can't wait for that. So, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you all kinds of Dolphins news, notes, rumors, injury updates, just like we did today. Always bringing you the latest from Miami. So with that, can't wait to see you for the live watch party on Sunday as the Dolphins look to move to 5-1 on the season. We'll see you then. See ya.